Already it's time for chapter 32 of Varjak Paw by S.F. Said, illustrated by Dave McKean and published by Corgi. Thank you, Corgi. Chapter 32. Varjak awoke from his dream in the front room. It was still dark outside as he looked around, and the family were gathered around him in a circle by the Contessa's empty armchair. His mind was like the sky after a storm. Everything was clear and sharp. He knew what he had to do. With one leap, he sprang onto the red velvet armchair. No one tried to stop him. Not Father, not Julius. It was his. The power was his. Only he could decide what to do with it. "Now," he said, "I need the truth. Has anyone seen the Contessa since the gentleman came to the house?" They all shook their heads. "So unless we do something ourselves, we're at his mercy. How often is he here?" "He goes out a lot," said Father. "And the black cats, did they go with him?" "Varjak, you're head of the family," said Julius, "and I'm not disputing that. Why do you ask these questions? It's only going to cause trouble. Why can't you just accept things as they are?" "Because something is happening up there, something bad. I'm going to find out what it is, and I'm going to get my friend back, and if I have to, I'm going to fight those black cats to do it." "Oh, whatever's going on up there," said Mother, "it doesn't affect us, sweetheart. We're different." Varjak shook his head. "We're not different. We're not special. We're cats. We're just the same as the others." They looked at him as if he'd gone mad. "But didn't you hear what Holly said? She's right. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day soon. The gentleman's coming for us too. His cats killed the elder Paw to stop us leaving. He's got something planned for us. I know he has." A murmur went around. They were thinking about it, but they weren't convinced yet. "Even if you're right," said Father, "how can we fight those black cats? They're too strong." "The elder Paw fought them," said Varjak. "They beat him, but he gave them a fight first, a good fight. If we work together, we can do it. That's what I believe. Who's coming with me?" He looked around the family circle. Mother, Father, Aunt Junie looked away. Julius, Jasmine looked away. Jay, Jethro and Jerome looked away. Varjak Paw was on his own again. "All right," he said, "if you change your minds, you know where you'll find me." And he came down off the chair and he marched out of the circle, out of the room, into the corridor. No one came with him. He didn't expect them to. It was all right, like being in the city again. He had nothing to rely on but himself and the skills Jalal had taught him. Nothing else. He slunk to the foot of the stairs. Holly was up there somewhere. So were the gentleman's cats. How was he going to get past them? He'd need to be invisible. He was going to have to shadow walk, the only skill he couldn't master. He took a deep breath. This time it had to work. There was no other way. He remembered his dreams. You must know yourself. Be sure of yourself before you can let go of yourself. Do you know who you are? Yes, I do, he thought. I'm Varjak Paw. Nothing less and nothing more. He relaxed, let go, merged with the shadows at the foot of the stairs, and the world flickered faintly around him. One of the gentleman's cats came out of the Contessa's room. It stood at the top of the stairs, surveying the scene with its black eyes. Would it see him? It turned his way for a moment, but looked right through him. Varjak placed a paw on the first step. The black cat didn't react. It was as if he didn't exist. Slyly, slowly, slithering low, Varjak shadow-walked the stairs. The gentleman's cat just sat there, unaware. He couldn't see him. No one could. He was invisible. He could go anywhere. But where was he going? What was he going to see? He remembered Holly's face as she came into the front room. Whatever it was that lay ahead, it wasn't good. At the top of the stairs he heard mewling. It made his fur prickle. It was the sound of fear. But he had to face it. However awful, he had to learn the truth about the gentleman, the vanishings, and the Contessa's room. That was the only way he could save Holly. His awareness tingling with danger, Varjak crept past the gentleman's cat and up to the room. Sticking to the shadows so he couldn't be seen, he looked in. It was just as Holly had said. There was a cage in there. It had a solid metal door and sharp wire mesh. It was full of cats. Street cats with no collars, but they weren't tough or menacing. The air was thick with the scent of their fright. Varjak could taste it, bitter on his tongue. They were cowering from the gentleman as he reached into the cage, cowering from the black cat that prowled by his shoes. Varjak craned his head right back, saw the gentleman pluck out a tortoise-shell cat from the cage. She was mewling pitifully. So were the cats around her. The gentleman closed the cage door and locked it up with a lever. Varjak had to hold himself still as the shiny black shoes clicked past, a whisker away. The gentleman was carrying the tortoise-shell out of the room, dangling her by the scruff of her neck. The black cat stayed behind, standing guard over the others. It took all Varjak's control to remain there in the shadows. The urge to flee clawed at his chest. The cage, cats, the smell. It was like a nightmare. But he had to trust himself, be true to himself. Downstairs, he'd known that it was right to come up here. And it was still right. There could be nothing worse for a free cat than to be locked up in a cage like this. Even if it never affected the blues, this was more important than family, more important than anything. He had to find a way to release Holly and the others. But where was she? He looked into the cage again. He finally glimpsed her in a corner. Holly was all right. Varjak could see she was talking to someone, a thin, frightened-looking, chocolate-brown cat. Was it possible? Varjak looked closer. His heart skipped a beat. It was Tam! There she was! Scared, but still alive after all this time. So Holly was right about the vanishings. This was where they ended up. But why? Where's he taking that tortoiseshell? Holly was asking Tam. What's he going to do with her? Tam shook her head. We don't know, but that's the end of her. Once she picks you, it's over. She shuddered. It doesn't take long, said another cat. In the shadows, Varjak's scalp prickled. What didn't take long? What was going on here, and why was his mouth so dry? Can't we get out of this cage? He heard Holly ask. I think we haven't tried, said Tam. It only opens from outside, and even if you could open it, how are you going to get past them? Those black cats are the ones who got us here in the first place. Varjak felt cold. It was that strange sensation again, being watched by something not quite alive, not quite dead. He'd felt it downstairs when he met a black cat's eyes. What did it mean? It couldn't be coming from the black cat this time, because it wasn't looking at him. Throat tightening, only just holding back the fear, Varjak followed his awareness. And now he saw where the sensation came from. It wasn't one gaze he felt, but many. There were other cats in the room, heaped up in a box. They didn't move, didn't talk, didn't breathe. He looked into their eyes. They were wide open, but they didn't blink. They weren't eyes at all. They were shiny, coloured glass with a black slash through the middle. Varjak's head began to spin. What was it Holly had said? They're not alive? No. They were just like the toys in the city, but turned off. The gentleman came back into the room. He was carrying the tortoiseshell cat, but it wasn't quite the same anymore. It had become totally still. It didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink its glassy eyes. It had a new collar tight around its neck. The gentleman touched the collar, and as it opened its mouth to speak, Varjak knew with awful, sickening certainty what words it would say. "I am very well, thank you, please," said the tortoise-shell cat. Its smiling head nodded up and down, until the gentleman touched its collar again, and it was still once more. It was a toy cat now, like the others, a perfect, preserved, furry toy that seemed almost alive, because it once was. So were the rest of them, every last one, not quite alive, not quite dead, not cats anymore, but toys. Varjak wanted to scream. This was wrong. He'd never seen anything so wrong. The gentleman placed the tortoise-shell carefully in the box and riffled through it, counting up his toys. Varjak turned his eyes away from the sight, and the cats in the cage began to howl. That's the end of chapter 32, so I have to leave it there. Only 2 more chapters left in the book, so I will join you very soon for chapter 33, but it's not going to be now. So until I see you again, look after each other, stay safe and be kind. See you soon.